My name is Rabih Darwiche, and I'm a grateful person in recovery. I'm the general manager at Hype Athletics Wayne, where I oversee programs for adults and the youth. I'm also the director of operations for the Safe Substance Abuse Coalition, where we do interventions. I also do public forums and in-school prevention for the youth. I saw somebody that was close to me, found out that they smoked. It was devastating to me, but then that grew a curiosity and wanted me to experiment. I ended up then just becoming an occasional user. Then I injured my knee when I was 19 years old. I was prescribed Vicodin, and it took off from there. I was on it for many years, followed by taking off of the drug and then put on Suboxone as a form of harm reduction, where I became addicted to that. So I never really went to therapy, never saw a program, never even was told. I didn't know any programs really existed. I just saw them in movies, and I just thought it was a bunch of people sitting in a circle that were extremely mentally ill. That was the stigma. There was no stigma against drug usage, but there's a stigma against you recovering from it. On May 3rd, 2016, where I finally surrendered, I went to drug treatment at that time, and I was facing 9 years in prison. I was spiritually bankrupt, hopeless, and I had destroyed all my relationships with my family. I really didn't have the will to live, but I really wanted to stop for a very, very long time. And when I went to treatment, when I surrendered, I said, I was willing to do whatever it took, even if that meant to change my environment, to really sit down and shut up, take the cotton out of my ears and put them in my mouth for the first time, and actually listen to another individual or a group of people teach me recovery. I was blessed with a great set of individuals around me. Like for an example, I had met somebody early on in recovery, and they were taking me to probation. And I really didn't understand why they were doing it for me. So I asked them, I said, well, why are you doing this for me? And they said, well, because they did it for us. And I said, well, how do I pay you back? And they said, well, when you have it, you give it to somebody else. And now, I'm blessed with having that, and I'm giving it to somebody else exactly the way it was given to me. I was also around Ali Said, is a CEO of Hype Athletics, one of the busiest human beings that I know, has 4 children. And he, I asked him, I knew why I was doing this, but I asked him, why are you doing this? Again, it was a car ride. I looked to the left, and his response was, it was God's work. So, that the individuals that I was around showed me a different, side of humanity. I met, and it just, the list goes on and on and on, unbelievable miracles that was given to me. So a lot of people with mental health disorders like to self-medicate to cope with their mental health disorders. So they would revert to drugs. And then, so sometimes they would be in addiction. We would get them clean, and then we would realize that they just had mental health issues. And then when we would address that and get that right for them with their right medications and with the right therapy, then they would, do really well. And then also, I have this little method that I use to help people understand what therapy is. Just like working out, you have a personal trainer that you would go to and get honest, which is very uncomfortable, about your lifestyle. You break down your health, your nutrition, your habits of sleep, and everything else, right? These are patterns that this personal trainer looks over and says, okay, here's our mission, here's our plan, and here's the direction of the manipulation process to change, right? Same thing with a therapist. You're coming there, you're divulging, all your traumas. And it's like a personal trainer. It's like a brain coach, personal trainer for your brain. They're gonna help you get uncomfortable and then finally get comfortable so you can heal. In the same way, when working out, you're very uncomfortable in the beginning, you're sore, it's not comfortable, and then you start to feel better and you start, okay, this is becoming a habit, and then Same thing with therapists. You start to form a habit of being honest and addressing things and identifying certain characteristics that lead you down the path that you're going. We have many resources in our community today, which I'm very grateful for. We glorify people partying, in music, people drinking, smoking weed, doing all these things. We glorify these people, but then if they do it too much as a consequence and then they start to develop a disease, we punish them and we look down upon them, and they're at the bottom end of society, which is not right. If you or someone you know is struggling and that really needs help, you're not alone. And if nobody told you today that they loved you, then I love you. I love you.